Welcome to your one-stop shop for picking the optimal FPL captain every game week. I do wonder if anyone competes with Salah for the captain's armband in game week 10. Let's find out. First up on the shortlist is of course the man himself, Mo Salah. He's playing against Brighton at home. It's not the easiest of fixtures, but he has got the home advantage and he's in top form. His two contenders this game week both play for Manchester City as midfielders. It's Kevin De Bruyne and Phil Foden. They've also got the home advantage playing at the Etihad. They've got a much easier fixture though against Crystal Palace, and you'll see that later on in the video. A couple of honourable mentions are Mount and Havertz. I don't think they're as reliable as De Bruyne and Foden, especially with that home fixture as well. Let's kick things off by taking a look at the stats from this and last season combined. Surprisingly, it's Phil Foden who takes the lead on the non-penalty return points per 90 minutes. This is actually based on a sample size of roughly 2,000 minutes as well. De Bruyne's behind by a whopping 1.6 while Salah's only 0.3 behind. Judging by the expected numbers, Phil Foden has been overperforming his underlying stats by quite a lot. By chance his stats probably will regress, which means that he won't be able to keep that up. As for Salah, I do believe that he will keep returning much more than his expected numbers because he's a clinical player in his prime. Someone who hasn't been composed in front of goal is Kevin De Bruyne. He's been one of the worst finishers in the league over the course of the last two seasons. Now you might be wondering why his figure is so low for this metric if he's the most creative player in the league. It's because it's based on FPL scoring, where your goal is worth more. He only gets 3/5 of the points for an assist, so obviously his finishing has been that bad. Like I mention on every video, the expected return points are actually better at forecasting the future return points than actual return points themselves, which of course means that Salah's got the most promising stats. Moving on to the set pieces, Salah's the only player on the shortlist that's guaranteed penalty duties. I'd say De Bruyne is about 50-50 and Foden has next to no chance. KDB is a set piece specialist for Man City, being the main man on direct free kicks, indirect free kicks and corners. Foden's also got a big green tick, but it's not quite as valuable. He will take the odd indirect free kick and corner here and there, but he won't be taking direct free kicks and it's not as often as De Bruyne. As for Salah, he's got a question mark because he takes the occasional direct free kick, and each game you could probably bet on him not taking one. It's predominantly Trent Alexander-Arnold for Liverpool. With De Bruyne, the free kicks and corners are much more common than penalties themselves, and he's got a 50-50 chance of taking a penalty, so there's plenty more opportunities for him. I believe he's the winner of this section. Let's take a look at the probability of each player scoring or assisting. First of all, this is based on the assumption that each player plays 90 minutes. We'll compare the expected minutes later on in the video. Salah takes the lead on the anytime goal scorer odds where he wins by 11%. De Bruyne beats him on the anytime assist odds by 10% and he beats Foden by 6% as well. It's not enough to compensate for the anytime goal scorer odds though, where he trails by 19%. This is reflected through the anytime return odds where Salah's got almost a 70% chance of returning. With a goal being worth more than an assist, he beats the other players more than what meets the eye as well. The Liverpool talisman also takes the lead on the points projections, where he's got the highest figure of 7.4 with Fantasy Football Fix. He also tops the scout projections with 6.9. He's also the undisputed winner on this section as well. By comparing the opposition's defence, we can see why De Bruyne and Foden made it onto the shortlist. It is kind of form versus fixture. Salah's fixture isn't that bad, but De Bruyne and Foden have got a much easier fixture. Obviously Crystal Palace have a worse defence than Brighton, and this is displayed through the clean sheet odds. But to be fair, there is a minuscule difference between them, it's just 2%. To be honest with you, I am more of a fixture man, but Salah's form does outweigh Man City's fixture. Before we draw up a conclusion, let's carry out a quick risk assessment. Salah has benefited from 6 recovery days, whilst De Bruyne and Foden played in the Cup. They've had almost 3 days of resting time. It doesn't matter if Salah played 90 minutes, he's had more than enough time to rest. His fitness levels are likely to be higher, and that is seen through the expected minutes on the screen. The best captain for game week 10 is Mo Salah. Thanks for watching, hit that subscribe button if you're new around here, and I'll see you here again for game week 11 to see if anyone else can beat Salah.